Oh boy. Horizon's nerf has been reverted, but we'll see no changes. I'll let you know exactly what that means in the saga of the nerf and what might be in store, as one of the Apex developers had hinted at some changes that they've been working on. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about one of the ways to stay educated on what SBMM really means, so you can be the smart friend in the group of your friends when talking about video games, one of the hottest topics that has ever existed in the online community in regards to multiplayer gaming. Also, Hogwarts Legacy and the divide and literal banning of the games, even discussion on certain websites, all happening here on Raynday Gaming News. Let's get into it. But also, I want to say, leave a like on the video if you are here. That helps YouTube find this video like you just did and share it to more people. First off, let's talk a little bit about Horizon's brand new reversion of the nerf. Apex Legends just a few moments ago released a tweet that said Horizon's tactical changes have been reverted, amongst a couple of other bug fixes that rolled out into a patch you might have seen in your game that took maybe 30 seconds to download with decent internet. To clarify, the Horizon tactical changes reverted refers to putting in a proper fix instead of the backend version we shipped last week. Now, for those who have been wondering what the heck that means, or how can something be reverted and changed and then we experience no differences, really what they're saying is that over the course of this drama with the Horizon nerf, if you've not been around, they have made some permanent changes that will be fixed and not a problem for now. Setting things up, though, let's look at what really did happen, because the Horizon nerf began with a shocking discovery for a lot of pros when they realized that one of the biggest benefits of this character was no longer available. Daz did a good video on this, a YouTube creator. Let's watch it so you can catch up on speed of what happened.
Of her gravity lift. Now, let's get into it now. I want to highlight, though, before everyone gets really upset, that this is still the fastest way for a team collectively, especially from Legends that don't have mobility, to get up to height. So let's get into it. When you queue up, you'll notice right away, if you ADS and shoot, look at the spread around. The reason I'm using the 3x, and so you can really see it. So we go up again, we take shots. Some shots will still land, but it really looks like a Spitfire in terms of how much that weapon spread is. So I'm going to switch between Legends just to get my ability back. I'm going to queue up so you can see it with a 1x now. Look how it spreads around. Yes, it'll still do damage based on what it's shooting at, but it isn't a direct line of like pure headshots or anything that you're doing, and so that is a great cause for concern. Otherwise, normally what it looks like is just a straight beam.
So as you can see, when you go up onto that beam, a big part of playing Horizon is getting onto the beam on the gravity lift and beaming people, basically getting a very accurate shot while you're rising, while it's harder to hit you, and being able to stay at the top, do a lot of damage, and then pop back down or stay aggressive. Big part of her play, big part of the ALGS, which I commentate. Most of you know on that channel, I cast professional Apex. So this was a big deal, had players up in a storm. But then we found out that actually this was not an intended nerf. Daz covers it here in less than a minute. So here's what happened, and pay attention to what the developers mentioned after talking about these changes.
So this was a patch that was just released. I know we talked about Horizon getting nerfed, and if we look in game here and we queue up, take a few shots, the patch has been reverted. So I'm going to put on screen, Respawn just tweeted this out. I was waiting until the patch actually hit the physical game, and it took a little bit before it actually went through, but it looks like it's finally gone through Steam, Origin, and all the platforms. You can test this out. You notice that when you queue up that your accuracy is back using R301 and all of the various weapons. Now, the interesting thing is that it was quoted by Josh Medina, letting us know that perhaps this change is going to happen, potentially in some way.
So basically, Daz hinting onto the biggest conversation point there is, in fact, the fact that Josh Medina, one of the developers of Apex Legends, great guy, Josh is at a lot of the events that we put on, has said that there is maybe something going to happen for Horizon. It may be this, but it wasn't quite ready and it snuck in. What today's tweet actually references, for those who are clear and want the information, is that these fixes that they made for a very quick back end fix to just get it back to normal were not the permanent fixes, and now 9 days later they have completely put the game back to where it should be, and we have to be left wondering what is ultimately going to be happening with Horizon. I honestly think that Horizon, could get a nerf. She couldn't, I'm very happy with Horizon staying where she is, but ultimately I want to hear your thoughts on whether you think Horizon should be nerfed in the future. I think she's a very fun legend. I think it helps the diversity of the offensive game, and, I would kind of hate to see a Gibraltar meta again, so if something stops that, by all means. All right, moving on. I want to hear your thoughts about that. Moving on to one of the more interesting topics too, which is a brand new how do you say this? Deep dive into Apex Legends matchmaking. And I think this is one of the best things that has come to the game. In fact, we had Rickle Saucer, one of the developers and designers, excuse me, a technical director, go into a deep dive on Apex Legends matchmaking. Now, why is this so important? One, SBMM has always been a contentious thing. If you haven't heard about it, it's called skill-based matchmaking. What it means is that people do not want to play against people of similar skill. But that's the whole point of the game, and it's in every FPS game in general because of the fact that it works and it retains players. The reason people do get upset, though, is that as you grow and develop, you don't actually get put in, usually with players who are much worse than you. You keep staying with the same types of players, so you don't really feel like you're growing, even though you know you're getting much better. What's even worse is the fact that sometimes when you'll group up with your new friends trying to show them the game and obviously show that you're good, you'll get put into lobbies that match more on your ability and your time played versus the newer players, and it'll make for a terrible experience with them. There's a lot of myths as well around SBMM, like it's killing games or it's not allowing games to have as many players staying and playing and that they're getting fed up. That is actually a very statistically deniable fact because SBMM has been something that has been a huge retention saver for games and is the reason why it's common practice throughout the industry. And there hasn't really been a game come out that's taken the world by storm that decided, let's try no SBMM. The skill-based matchmaking element tends to increase retention and allow players to, for whatever reason, want to keep playing the game, even though on the worst cases of it, it is not very popular. Now, taking a look at this, why am I introducing you to this? Well, just this last week, this deep dive, I think, is one of the most interesting and accurate explanations of what SBMM actually is, how it fails when trying to distribute teams over the course of weighting good players, average players, and bad players into where they should go, what types of conversations that they get into as terms of priority. And one of the big things people don't recognize is that SBMM is based on a timer, and it's also based on people trying to play a game eventually and trying to speed that process up. And it goes through some very visually representative and clear and easy to understand dynamics. And by the way, I'm going to be streaming twitch.tv/Raynday after this video goes live. I'll be doing a deep dive through all of this. So if this is something you're interested in, so you want to be the friend that knows what SBMM really is without the myths from a designer to quote and reference things and talk to people about, it'll give you that. But it'll also show you how the matches have actually improved in terms of people staying alive and having better games in Apex. And this is just a simple graph showing you since the changes, the average time, I believe, being able to stay alive and the queue times as well. So this is a really, really great article. It's a great read. I wanted to bring this up on the news today and let you know that this is something that I think every single gamer, whether you want to take yourself seriously in content creation or you just want to be informed, should understand what SBMM is, what it strives to do, and why it's implemented in games and how it can be used to your advantage if you know these things as well. All right, now moving on to maybe the most contentious part of today or last week's video game conversation. And for many people, I know this is a very sensitive subject. I actually have covered subjects like this in the past on my channel, and to say that the comments were divisive would be an understatement. This tends to get a lot of people up in arms, and honestly, there's a lot of discussion that I think is still yet to be had about these types of topics and the impact that they have, especially how they're being applied to right now. And of course, I'm talking about the viral video about Hogwarts Legacy. A creator this last week made a viral video about Hogwarts Legacy on TikTok that went absolutely wild on Twitter. His name is Will Overguard. Basically, he said, do not buy Hogwarts Legacy because of J.K. Rowling's political or human trans rights views, that she was pushing anti-trans legislation. Therefore, you should not buy this game. Now, of course, the internet being the internet, Harry Potter's Hogwarts Legacy has become one of, if not the best, one of the best sellers on Steam, which is quite a wild thing to consider. It's also been extremely contentious online when anyone is talking about it, and it's even had if you look in the news of this game, so Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy, let me show you right now. If you look in the news, there are actually companies that have started to ban the discussion of Hogwarts Legacy in support of the fact that they do not want to condone a game that's person who created the title of the game or created the source media is able to, have that discussion about her political views on trans rights and the legislation that she's trying to push politically. They don't want to support anything that has to do with that. The media, the website Reset Era, which in comparison to IGN, 9.4 million monthly users. IGN has about 254 million monthly users. It's nothing to sniff at, but it is definitely still a big statement that people are taking a stand on this. So let's watch the video, and I want to get your opinion.
Please do not support the upcoming Hogwarts Legacy game. Friends, colleagues, cohorts, the whole lot of you, I'm asking you very sincerely, please do not stream it. Don't make YouTube videos about it, don't buy it, and don't bloody pre-order it. The reason being is that you may not be aware that by supporting this title, you are essentially aligning yourself with some really heinous transphobic values. J.K. Rowling, aka Joanne, has made it extremely clear that they see the success of this title as being vindication of their transphobic views. That, by this title doing well, that means that they were correct. And honestly, you just have to look on the Steam forums to see the kind of people that are cheering for this game. Please don't be among them. If you weren't aware of all this, I'll do a longer video after this to explain a bit more of the nuances, but I just had to say, please don't support this game. Please.
Okay, obviously, as you can imagine, this went very, very viral. And not only does it have 8.5 million impressions, it's had nearly the same amount of likes as it does quote tweets or retweets. And that just means that a lot of people are basically quote tweeting this and having their own statement around spreading this video. A lot of these statements, too, strike me as very interesting. And really, the conversation to me online, if you watch and look at the comments underneath, have shifted into people feeling, well, that's true. I don't necessarily agree with these opinions, which, on one hand is completely correct. If I knew that the owner or the creator of this media that I really loved and grew up on was an open, racist or openly something, I mean, I might feel conflicted. And then it goes into the questions of, can you like something that's media-based, that's for pure enjoyment, that's not something that you're necessarily sharing or you're not necessarily promoting, and you definitely don't agree with the views, can you like that still? Is that okay? And I think it goes into the question of telling people what to like, what to do. And obviously, it's combating that with the harm that people feel that it would do if this game was really successful. And J.K. Rowling and anyone who does feel that way obviously would feel vindicated or successful in continuing to have those types of views without any kind of wake-up call or penalty. Ultimately, I think this is really a difficult conversation to have. As a Harry Potter fan, I think, I grew up reading it at 11. It's really tough to separate the distinction between media and movies and books that I love and the author. I don't think anything the author can do can make me feel differently about Harry Potter in terms of what I love about the story. In fact, it represents very many different things. It represents fighting against people who would try to say you're a mudblood or you're different or you're something that is. But it's also something that I don't know if the internet, as divisive as it is, could ever truly agree upon, because we tend to get in these battles of right and wrong. And so people kind of took this side and said, well, yes, I agree. Or, hey, that's just like saying I won't play Blizzard games because of their discrimination practices, their sexual assault practices. And so I'll stop playing WoW, stop playing Overwatch because that happened at Activision Blizzard. It is a slippery slope of conversation and logic, but I also think that the truth is we all, I think can try to find some type of line here. But what is the line? I want you guys to continue the discussion. I certainly don't know. And I think this is a tricky topic. I think that's why it went viral. I think that's why everyone had an opinion. And I think that's why even those who said I was going to play it weren't doing it in a way, well, at least some, that was like, screw that, I'm so for hating people. They were doing it in a way where, hey, I'm going to play it in my room. I'm not really going to spread it. I'm not a streamer. I'm not a creator. I just really love this game and this universe. I want to know what you guys think, though. I think it's a very interesting topic. Clearly, the internet is talking about it, and I want to know what you guys think as well in the comment section below. Remember to like, never give up, never stop gaming, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. See you guys next time.